Hello everybody, and Happy New Year. 23 days ago. It always feels like a new year passes by between each video I post. What is the reason, you may ask? Well, as the content gets more complicated, it requires more time to create. Do I have the time? Sort of. Do I instead watch 17 anime episodes in one sitting? Yes. Do I stay up till 3 a.m. reading about the vicious murder of a 9-year-old by a 15-year-old, then switch tabs to search the amount of weight Lily Collins had to lose in her role for the movie To the Bone? Do I watch true crime documentaries and try to solve the cases by applying what I learned from Mindhunter? Yep. Can I declare that this time I will be consistently posting? I'm sort of pessimistic, but perhaps this video will shift my mindset towards becoming a more virtuous content creator. The terms bullish and bearish are constantly used in stock markets. A bearish trend is characterized by high investor pessimism about the downward trend in the industry's stock prices. On the other hand, a bullish trend is an upward trend in stock prices within a particular sector or a general increase in broad market indexes. This trend is characterized by high levels of investor optimism or Pollyanna. According to Collins' dictionary, Pollyanna is a person who is consistently or excessively optimistic, and the word derives from the main character in Eleanor Porter's 1913 novel, Pollyanna, an orphan who finds cause for contentment in the toughest circumstances. It's not that Pollyanna is a blindly optimistic child who doesn't notice the harsh reality of life. Rather, she has been conditioned to be optimistic through a game taught by her father. This game is called the Glad Game, in which Pollyanna and her father tried to find a reason to be grateful regardless of any hardships that might face them. Eventually, the game came naturally to Pollyanna, who instinctively started to realize the silver lining in any situation. She also taught the game to her neighbors and people she met to spread good spirit. This fictional novel indeed holds a valuable lesson. However, it is not sustainable to apply optimism in every situation, and it is certainly not realistic to play the glad game with guests at a funeral, for instance, as it's not guaranteed that everyone will be able to participate. Optimism is a virtue, but the downside is that sometimes when something good happens in line with optimism, there is this automatic mindset which gets triggered. It's like my optimism was effective and led to that desired result. Therefore, I will always rely on optimism since it will surely bring me what I desire. On the other hand, if you do not achieve what you desired even though you were optimistic, it might lead you to think that optimism was not of necessary value and can be rendered ineffective for future use. Therefore, it's more constructive to look at optimism as a driver for achievement, a fuel to jumpstart something or proceed with a work in progress rather than to anticipate a positive end result. It's worthy to be optimistic or see the glass as half full, but this does not always work in your favor. If you've watched the movie Annie, you probably heard this enchanting song. When I'm stuck with a day that's gray and lonely, I just stick up my chin and grin and say, oh, the sun'll come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on till tomorrow, come what may. Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love ya, tomorrow. See, Annie is sort of delusional. Like, are you sure you love tomorrow and look forward to the gruel sandwiches, gruel omelets, nothing but gruel at the orphanage? The lesson should be as follows. Today sucks and tomorrow will suck even more, but I am tough enough to face it. And actually, I will not be optimistic and hope for a better morning where the sun is shiny. No, let it be gloomy with a 70% chance of rain and thunder, because I will still go out and explore my chances of getting hit by a falling tree that has been struck by lightning. Therefore, instead of optimism, man should opt for resilience as a more effective approach to whatever life is hurling. What is resilience? Resilience is the process of overcoming difficult or demanding life situations, particularly through emotional, mental, and behavioral flexibility and adaptation to internal and external challenges. So as a recap, we can use optimism as the engine to kickstart goals, and resilience as a tool to stand up stronger after negative outcomes. In actuality, resilience comprises both positive and negative aspects. A person's level of resilience can vary substantially based on their particular situation and the difficulties they encounter. Therefore, resilience cannot be addressed without taking into account social variables like systematic racism, financial status, and of course, mental and physical health. For this reason, it's significant to develop total awareness about one's true self and surrounding, and based on that, one can assess the situation and leverage resilience accordingly. But to what extent can resilience be utilized? Everyone reacts to stress differently, so sending the message that we should be robust in the face of hardship or tragedy can be counterproductive. That is why sometimes a mental breakdown is necessary, as it can rectify the cycle of stress followed by toughness. This might sound a bit paradoxical, considering that resilience is supposed to give you long-term strength. But humans are not consistently robust. Sometimes they need leeway to let it all out. Suspension bridges, for instance, are designed to be flexible, in which they move vertically and laterally to accommodate wind, change in temperature, or load. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "No one is more dangerously insane than one who is sane all the time. He is like a steel bridge without flexibility, and the order of his life is rigid and brittle." End quote. Hence, a mental breakdown can help alleviate the accumulated pressure within oneself and reset and rebalance an occupied mind. To expand further, the author and philosopher Alain de Botton describes the need of a breakdown as follows, I quote, "A breakdown is not merely a random piece of madness or malfunction. It is a very real, albeit very inarticulate bid for health. It is an attempt by one part of our minds to force the other into a process of growth, self-understanding, and self-development, which it has hitherto refused to undertake." So it is indeed okay to experience a cycle of optimism, disappointment, followed by impending doom, which eventually leads to a breakdown but counterattacked by resilience. Listen, it's the realization that one does not possess the full control of every situation. It's the mindfulness that you have reached the utmost potential in a certain scenario. But when it all fails, it's not because of you. Well, maybe it is due to your senseless decisions at times. But fret not, as you always learn with every downfall. It's not optimism that builds you up, but the resilience to confront anything and everything. So go ahead and change that desktop background and phone wallpaper from optimistic quotes to something more resilient. In fact, I took the liberty to search the hardest materials on Earth so you can have some options. On the bottom, wurtzite boron nitride. And next, lonsdaleite. Next is dyneema. Next, palladium microalloy glass. And bucky paper. And on top of the pyramid, going 343, once again, is graphene. You know, Pinterest keeps throwing these optimistic quotes at me, and I keep knocking them out of the park with a resilience bat.